The desert sun melted into the horizon, painting the sky in streaks of orange, violet, and gold. Emily Carter rolled down her window and let the warm wind whip through her hair as her old Chevy hummed down the cracked pavement of Route 66. She had left New York behind 2 weeks ago, and with it the broken engagement that had left her hollow. Every mile she drove felt like a layer of sorrow peeling off her chest, replaced with a taste of freedom and uncertainty. Somewhere in Arizona, her car sputtered, coughed, and finally gave up near a small town with a neon diner sign flickering in the distance. Frustrated, she pulled over, kicking the dusty road. The silence pressed in until the sound of a motorcycle broke through the quiet. Jack Ramirez pulled up beside her. He wore a faded denim jacket, his dark hair curling at the edges, his smile equal parts charming and cautious. "Need a hand?" he asked, hopping off the bike. Emily wasn't used to strangers being so open. In the city, people barely looked at one another. But here, under the endless desert sky, she felt something disarmingly human in his gaze. "My car just died," she admitted. Jack tilted the hood open, the heat rising in waves. "Well, lucky for you, I run the garage in town. I can tow you back, get her running again." And just like that, fate threw them together. The diner across from Jack's garage became their meeting ground. While he worked on her car during the day, Emily sat inside with her camera, capturing the neon glow at night, the locals laughing over coffee, the shadows stretching across the empty road. Jack often joined her, sliding into the booth across from her, smelling faintly of oil and desert air. "You're not from here," he said one evening, eyes glinting in the diner light. "No. Just passing through. Trying to figure things out." "Sometimes the road gives answers city streets can't," he murmured. The words lingered with her, like the taste of cherry pie and coffee that followed their late-night talks. Days turned into a rhythm. She'd wander with her camera, he'd work at the garage. But every night, they'd find themselves together, talking about dreams they had buried. Emily confessed her fear of settling for a life that didn't feel alive. Jack told her about how he once played guitar in a band that dreamed of touring, but after his brother died, he stayed behind to take care of his family. One evening, Jack surprised her. Her car was fixed. "You're good to go," he said softly. Her chest tightened. She should have been relieved. Instead, she felt like something precious was slipping away. "Want to see something before you leave?" he asked, almost shyly. She nodded. He led her down Route 66, driving side by side, her Chevy and his bike, until they reached an overlook. The desert sprawled endlessly, the stars just beginning to sparkle overhead. Jack pulled out an old guitar from his bike's thul bag and strummed a few chords. His voice, low and raw, filled the air with a song he had written years ago. Emily's eyes stung. The way he played wasn't just music. It was his heart laid bare. When the last note faded, she whispered, "You should have never stopped." He looked at her with that same cautious smile. "Maybe I was waiting for the right reason to start again." And then, under the desert stars, he leaned forward. The kiss was unhurried, yet it held the weight of miles, of longing, of two souls finally colliding where the road had guided them. It was tender, and it was forever. The next morning should have been goodbye. But Emily couldn't turn the key in her ignition. She sat in her car, staring at the road ahead, then at the diner where Jack leaned against his bike, watching her. She realized the road wasn't about leaving anymore. It was about finding. She stepped out, walked to him, and said, "I don't want this to be just a stop on the road." His hand found hers, rough and warm. "Then don't let it be." Together, they rode, her Chevy and his bike, chasing the horizon. Every mile was theirs now. Every sunset, every diner, every starlit kiss. Route 66 had been the road that carried them away from loneliness and toward love, but the journey didn't end there. It was just the beginning of their forever. The first week of their shared journey was a blur of laughter, music, and moments that felt stolen from another life. Emily photographed everything: the way Jack leaned over his bike with the wind tugging at his jacket, the neon motel signs that flickered like beacons against the endless night, the golden glow of sunrise spilling across the hood of her Chevy. Each image was more than just a picture. It was proof that she was alive again, that she was not running anymore but arriving, at something that felt like destiny. Jack teased her often. "You're going to run out of film if you keep snapping every time I breathe." "Then I'll just start sketching you," she fired back, smiling. It was easy, the way they fit. As if the highway had written their story long before they had met. But Emily knew life wasn't a movie. There were still doubts lingering at the edges of her heart. One night, parked outside an abandoned drive-in theater along the road, Jack strummed his guitar and looked at her with an expression that made her pulse race. "Emily, I'm not good at promises. I've let too many slip away. But with you, I don't want to let go." Her throat tightened. She thought of her broken engagement, the ring she had left behind in New York, the future she had been too afraid to imagine. And now, here was Jack, a man who had no reason to wait for her, yet who seemed ready to risk everything. "Then don't," she whispered, her hand reaching for his. Their kiss that night was different from the first, hungrier, deeper, as if sealing a vow neither of them had dared to speak aloud. The road stretched on, carrying them through small towns and dusty stretches where the only sound was the hum of her Chevy and the low growl of his bike. With each mile, Emily felt lighter, as if she was shedding the last pieces of who she used to be. Jack, too, seemed changed. His music grew bolder, his laughter freer. He began to sing in diners, sometimes coaxed by Emily, sometimes by strangers who sensed the fire in him. People clapped, cheered, and Jack would look at Emily every time, as if she were the reason his voice had returned. One night, outside a motel glowing with pink neon, Emily captured a photograph of him leaning against his bike, guitar in hand, the desert stars arching above. Later, she printed it and scribbled in the corner, "Highway kiss to forever." When Jack saw it, his smile was quiet, but his eyes burned with a promise. Forever sounds just right. And with that, the road ahead no longer felt uncertain. It felt like home. The next morning, as sunlight poured across the desert, Emily woke to the sound of Jack tuning his guitar outside the motel. She stepped out, barefoot on the warm pavement, and listened as he played a melody that felt like dawn itself, hopeful, endless. He looked up at her, his grin wide and boyish. "Morning, partner," he said. She laughed softly, walking toward him. "Morning, forever." And as they set out once more, the highway stretched like a ribbon ahead of them, promising not just miles, but memories, every kiss, every song, every heartbeat leading them home.
Watching my channel, like and share. Thank you so much.